Welcome everyone. My name is Mary. I am the health coach intern for the semester through April, maybe even into May. This is a bunch to learn all about different health claims, different facts, things that you might hear. And goal is to kind of go over, what's true and what's false. If you're not familiar with the show Mythbusters, that's the image here. Those two men, they had a show, Mythbusting all sorts of science facts that ran for a really long time. So definitely fits our.
Yeah, you can minimize it.
Yeah. So we are gonna go through 20 different claims. And I have a paper for people in person. Just to make it more exciting, more engaging, and see how much you're learning. Paper for you to write like a P and an F on false. So for the statement, I will share the claim, and you can give a little sign whether or not you think it is true or false. If you are firstful, feel free to put T or false in chat. You have option to close captioning.
Yes. We do. Yeah, pull up the, maybe more. Yeah, more. I won't think you should be able.
Accessibility, maybe on the bottom. There is somewhere.
There is.
It usually pops out, doesn't it?
If it's enabled, doesn't the participant have to turn it on their screen?
Oh.
Oh, maybe that.
Yeah, it's gonna be the auto captions, then you have to turn it on.
Okay. Yeah, so you turn it on, individuals turn it on via Zoom. All right, any other questions? Cool. So. Number one. Habit exercises helps you lose belly fat. Or false. Give a little, if you wanted to show me what you think. Or you can keep track of yourself too if that's. Yes. A lot of thumbs down this one. Oh. And so, yeah, it's definitely also explain that you'll see different workout programs saying do this, fat exercise for 10 days and you'll have a round 6-pack. That's not actually how it works. So you cannot target fat loss in the body. Fat loss happens very generically and holistically. So it's not just work out this muscle to lose the fat in that spot. It's also very genetically determined what part of your body is going to be losing fat from first. So it's not necessarily something that you can change. But if you are doing any sort of physical activity that's getting you to the point of fat loss, then that's when it happens. And so, yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention is oftentimes the assumption is that if you want to grow the muscle, that muscle comes from the fat loss. That's not how it works either. You can grow muscle in an area, but then once you get in the fat is going to be removed from that area.
So how do you get the 6-pack?
I know, right?
You know, it can, both can.
No, it should not.
We have to get the actual chiseled thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely has.
As I eat bunnies.
Number 2, all fat in the body is bad. Yes, thumb down, pulses. This one is false. So, your body likes fat. It has its own type of fat that it likes to use to build and burn energy later. That is called a subcutaneous fat, meaning like below the skin surface. That type of fat you might see in oak. It's like, oftentimes stored behind your arms, abdomen, thighs, butt, all those kind of like fat deposit areas. And that is what your body is using to burn energy and be going throughout the day. The type of fat that not as healthy or can lead to problems and conditions later on is the visceral fat. So that's what's found internally. You can't see it. It surrounds like your organs, and can even be seen like inside of organs. That is what is linked to different non-communicable diseases like diabetes, things like that. But generally speaking, overall, that is not bad. Flossing regularly promotes good brain health. Yeah, I've seen lots of reviews for this one. That's good. There's a lot more research being done on oral health in relation to the rest of your body. And I think, generally speaking, because of how like insurance is set up in the US, people forget that oral health is very much a part of the body. It's not like a separate thing. Insurance that separates it. So you kind of forget that what goes in your mouth strongly influences the rest of your body. So the way that flossing helps kind of impact your brain and overall body is because as you breathe in through your mouth or like take in food and different substances, all of that carries bacteria. And then flossing is what gets rid of the bacteria. So without flossing regularly, that allows the bacteria to kind of like stay and build up to plaque. And eventually, once there's plaque, that allows things to stay for longer, and it just kind of snowballs from there. But the research has been showing that regular flossing decreases risk of cognitive decline as you age, because it's getting rid of that potential for inflammation in your body. It's also shown to lower risk of different respiratory illnesses, because as you breathe in, things can travel down into your lungs if they're not being removed. And if anyone has diabetes, it is shown to help people with diabetes lower blood sugar spikes. All of it comes back to bacteria and inflammation.
Can I add something really quick?
Yeah.
So something I've learned in like the last 6 months is they're really looking at oral health as a contributor to dementia.
Yeah.
So when they say cognitive decline, they're really talking about cognitive decline. And this is coming out now. I've been in conferences where people are talking about the correlation. So like, it's a big deal.
Taking vitamin C supplements reduces the risk of catching the common cold. Or stumps bombs for this one. False and a true. False and a true. False. False. Fixed. So actually next to it. There's been a ton of research on this because it's a very lifelong claim. And in 2016, these researchers did a huge systematic review, so like tons of studies that have looked at whether or not people supplementing with vitamin C actually had a reduction of getting the common cold. And this included thousands of people of like the general population. And overall, they concluded that there's no like statistically significant evidence to show that supplementing with vitamin C reduces the general population's risk of getting a common cold. The little asterisk is that they did find not enough to call it statistically significant, but enough to like mention it. That people who did supplement with the vitamin C had a shorter duration of colds and less severe symptoms. But that is still like maybe a lot of that protocol, and this is one of those things that is like, well, maybe if taking a vitamin C packet makes you feel better, then that might be good for you anyways. You primarily breathe through one nostril at a time. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, if you wording this has been very finicky with how I word it. So I've seen a mix of false. It's true. Yeah. It's called a nasal cycle, and primarily at one time you're breathing through like 175% just through one nostril, and the other one's a little bit, and it cycles throughout the day, so it changes automatically. Really? Well, I mean, not anything to take away from this. Interesting. Fun fact about the human body.
So if you're like, you know, if you have a cold and sometimes one nostril plugged up, then that means you should be opening your mouth, otherwise you're not breathing like properly, or,
I don't actually know.
right? I think your body would know.
Yeah.
I mean, because oftentimes you wake up like with a cold and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is regardless of being like congested, it's kind of how your body. That. Six. Activates bodies through your exhalation. But it makes it. Really? Yeah, I've seen a mix of true or false and a lot of, I don't even know.
I mean, you exhale more than you're doing.
So, yeah, about 86% leaves your body, your lungs, your body burning it into carbon dioxide. So, the other 16% is when it, goes into water and leads to like sweat, urine, ears, all sorts of bodily secretions. So it is to think about, and it oftentimes you don't think about how like fat itself eats, but it's that process of like what it starts as and what the body uses it for. So it uses it for the energy, but then it has to, get rid of the excess, and it does that by turning it into carbon dioxide. So I tried to kind of look up a little bit more about this, like this might have the thought of like, so I breathe and like I'm getting rid of it. And some of this got way over my head, what I understand about like chemistry and the body. But for the most part, it's when you're like in an elevated state. So when your body is getting into like the aerobic or anaerobic systems, that's when it's being converted and when it's used. So it's not just like chilling on its own. Exhaling. If you're really interested, I'd say look it up yourself. Sadly, I don't understand too much on it. All right, 7, sitting too closely to the TV or any screen will cause long-term eye damage. Intrudes. I'm never always.
I know, parents say.
I remember this night. So the idea is that like screens can damage, your eyes. And there's been a lot of research on it, And what they have found is that it can cause temporary eye strain, but that doesn't lead to long-term deterioration. So maybe still not good to have eye strain, but it's not going to result in significant eye vision problems later. I guess one thing I wanted to bring up is there is a lot of talk about like blue light filter as well. I tried to find some info on that. It's no matter what I found, it was like really one way or the other, very mixed. And I think when it comes to like blue light filter, the talk is more about like how that light is interrupting your circadian rhythm and your natural hormones instead of eyesight. Sounds a little bit slow there. Or 10,000 steps a day. Lots of positives. Thanks. So from a what gives benefit standpoint, the answer is false. When this, numbers or the keywords are kind of half blocked off, sorry about that, as you're reading. When that originally like first came up, it was a marketing scheme because it sounds nice and pretty, and it like intense. And before that, there was like no actual research done on this 10,000 steps a day number. We just kind of like took it and ran with it, especially like due to smartwatches and Fitbit is like the big one that kind of ran with it. So because of that, there's been a bunch of research on whether or not that's actually like a number you should be reaching for. And what they have found is that, of course, any sort of physical activity is good for you. If you work, at a desk job or like seat all the time, increasing steps is going to be good because it means increasing activity. But the benefits of steps as itself kind of stop growing after 7,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps is also a lot. It really is. I mean, I'm a like physically active person, and I don't think I get anywhere near 10,000 steps a day. So I guess with this one, it's like don't be so hard on yourself if everything's like 10,000 steps, because it's at some point the growth and the benefit of it stops getting bigger. Dreaming only happens during REM sleep. See a mix of true and false about having that. So REM stands for rapid eye movement. There are 3 statements: light, deep, and REM. It just depends on like brainwave activity and on how your body is resting during that time. And REM sleep is when your body is temporarily paralyzed and your eyes are moving, hence why it's called rapid eye movement. Yeah, it's very crazy. I know. And there are dreams during REM, of course, and that's the time of the sleep process where you have the really like crazy. So that's why it gets that claim. But you still dream, or you still can dream during light and deep sleep. This one has a little bit of debate too on whether or not it's like a true dream. Air quotes there around true dream, because that's kind of a thing debated only among like dream professionals. Because the rest of us are like, well, there's an image going in my head, and I'm gonna call it dream.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
So, and again, maybe this is why we're in the session today about myths, but I've heard that if you wake up while you're in the REM cycle, that's typically when you remember a dream more. Is that, I guess, what's your interpretation of that? Or
I've heard that too, but I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but it's. Then, older people snore more than younger people. Lots of truths and a couple of falses. when you age, your muscles lose, after like a certain point, your muscles lose their like tone and definition. And snoring happens as a result of your tongue vibrating as you breathe because of the muscle relaxation. Muscle relaxing. So yeah, as you age, your body is naturally losing that definition, so your tongue's gonna move more as you sleep, causing snoring. But it's gonna happen.
So it's like your tongue and not your nose? So why do we have all these nose strips and all these things like that?
Yeah, so what I understand, it is about your throat blocking like nasal or like your, airway. And so your tongue plays a role in how much it is being blocked. Like your tongue. That's interesting. Yeah. Need to read them.
There's this area of research is actually from oral health, but they have these new water bottles that are supposed to build up the muscles in your throat. Used to reduce snoring. And you have to use them like every day or like, whatever.
Yeah. Huh.
So,
That's cool.
yeah,
Have you ever seen that one?
I don't know. I just have a snore.
It's the word.
Yeah, so what I understand is that like the nasal strips are to help try to like keep things open, so that air can flow, so you're not stopping breathing for the excursion. So that's really cool.
One thing I just wanted to add that just, it's a public service announcement that sometimes we shouldn't necessarily ignore snoring just because I know lots of folks are, it's a sign of sleep apnea, which is.
Yes, yeah, and when it is ignored, it is heavily linked to lots of other issues.
Yeah, heart issue.
And like, I believe. I'm not a health professional, I'm a health coach, so. It has been linked to earlier signs of or higher risk of dementia. Yeah, everything comes back.
I'm
to-
gonna get it.
Right?
If you like start to sleep apnea, it's cutting off like your way, but like a small amount of
Right.
deprivation, but like that kills your. Yes, that's beautiful. That's
Mm-hmm.
very exciting. Wait, it's on there.
Bro, it's gonna be like twice.
Up for Ray. Not there. Does anyone watch till?
I mean, I think it's a feature of marriage, how much you have to build. It's, I got like half of them.
Lots of good food stand for berries. This is what we've covered so far. We cannot target fat loss, not all fat is bad. Vitamin C supplementation does not prevent common colds. Looking at a screen for too long will not cause long-term eye damage. You do not need to reach 10,000 steps a day to receive health benefits. Dreaming occurs in all sleep stages. Flossing is good for your brain. Fat leaves your body through exhalation, and snoring increases with age.
So what does vitamin C do for us then? Yep,
Now,
Which is the quick.
I do not.
Yes.
okay, fair enough.
What was your question?
What does vitamin C do for us?
Well, because does anyone else take airborne in emergency on trip? Like I always take it, like when I'm going on an airplane or something. And now I'm like, okay, I'm throwing my money. I mean, it's got other like vitamins, but maybe it's all marketed. What's that mean?
Same.
Zinc, right? So it's got zinc in
Yeah,
it.
I would think maybe that's the absorption of vitamin A. And that vitamin C. And vitamin C helps with immunity, but I have no idea.
That's
the
so,
science behind it.
well, and even like the step thing. Like, I'm looking at Diana, and I know it's not you, but like for our health insurance, who are getting money back. We have to meet 10,000 deficits, right?
I get down the website, I'm gonna have Diana send
Right.
it to Gallagher, because it is such a
It's
fall.
because if it's a marketing.
It looks like
the
it's small stuff, yeah. So we have our health, insurance, the HSA, we get 10,000 steps in a day, we get, payback.
days a month.
Yeah.
And then you can get up to $300 a year.
Yeah.
If you get
it's-
those steps, so I never get that, I get the food and sleep, but.
Is that,
There's a-
in fraction of a lot of people prefer to do it if you have like gym membership.
I think it's in addition to. Well, I guess Diane. Is it in addition to like money back from gyms, she says?
It's not related.
It's a healthy habit, it's a separate, right?
Yes. Separate.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know, I'm talking about what's surprising, but anyone else wants to share anything that's been the most shocking so far? Or you're like, I don't know if I believe that.
There's a couple I've never heard of before. Like like the, and the facts, like, yeah, like super fascinating.
It was good, can't smell.
Well, and I'm just confused about the ab one, like the ab one and.
Yeah.
Body fit, like,
But.
well, I don't remember what it was. It was something like if you do crunches, does that help you lose body fat?
Oh, lose
Right?
belly fat.
Belly fat.
Yeah,
So I thought when you're working the muscles, then that decreases.
when you are working out to a point where your body goes into a different state, like aerobic or anaerobic, then your body might be using some of your fat stores. But the fat store that it's taking that energy from does not directly go back to the muscles that you're working. So it's full, like whatever type of body. Yeah.
Throw out like an example, looking at pictures of like people who do like strongman competitions and like big like weight like gymnasts, a lot of them are also like have visible fat and like they also have, massive muscles that are there. And that's like what helped like switch the idea of like, okay, you have one or the other in a spot, like, no, these people have both, like.
Yeah,
it's
so
not-
yeah,
That's a.
Own your muscle.
Yeah.
And still have belly fat.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's still good to do crunches.
yeah. It changes across sexes, but I know because I am female, I know more about the female body. But with female, fat deposits tend to happen, like behind the arms, belly and thighs. So like you can have, really strong abs underneath, but there's still gonna be some fat there because your body naturally stores fat there to help you of the day. All right, let's move to the second half. 11, eating carrots can improve eyesight at night.
I say the word that is that fast.
So carrots contain beta carotene, and that is what our body uses to produce vitamin A. And vitamin A, I don't understand science. Here's a nice quote. Vitamin A helps the eye convert light into a signal that can be transmitted to the brain, allowing people to see under conditions of low light. Underneath there, I've got, you don't need to do this through carrots. You can just take vitamin A supplements. I believe there's a way to just take like a beta carotene supplement. Nutrition science is not my expertise, so I don't know too much about that. But yeah, your body uses that vitamin A, and the way it works with eyesight is that once you have enough of it in your body, you're not gonna like just have. Once you have enough of it in your body kind of like cuts off at a certain point. You don't just like exponentially grow night vision. That would be sadly not true. And this has actually been enough vitamin A in your diet has been shown to prevent blindness. And it's used in a lot of countries around the world where areas in the country where people don't have access to foods that have high vitamin A.
So you can't eat too many carrots, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
It can turn you orange.
I've heard
tried
that.
to look that up.
What did you say?
It's a carrot seed.
Turned orange. Well, not me, but at summer camp, there was. It's always good, overnight camp, and they always had like blueberry belly out and carrots. And so you eat a lot of very stiff peanut butter, people would turn orange.
No.
That's like all they were eating.
Yeah, well, that brings the keratin in it, but
It's like Willy Wonka.
That's totally what I was thinking. Right.
Not like bright orange, just.
Yeah.
The orange.
Well, that's not so much lactose. So as mammals, when you are a baby, you can afford lactose, because that is oftentimes how people are, nutrients is through milk. So, as an infant you do, but after that, it is non-existent. Doesn't always stay, so a lot of people do develop a lactose malabsorption. It's estimated that it's about 68% of the global population cannot absorb lactose. And that may or may not come with those lactose intolerant symptoms. So you may not be able to absorb it. And depending on like your immune system and your body's reaction to it, you might just like carry on with life, or you might get uncomfortable symptoms. So that's kind of person dependent, and oftentimes genetics plays a role in that. But what they have found is usually the reason why it's like 68% global population is because people of European descent or heritage are the ones least likely to have the malabsorption issues. And from what I understand, based on looking this stuff up, it is just what areas like historically have used dairy milk regularly in their diet. So over time, the DNA has adjusted to it. Consuming local honey helps relieve allergy symptoms. Lots of truths. Maybe. At month 12, my mom's many years, I have terrible allergies, and my mom for many years was like, needs to be having local honey. And sadly, it's not true. So the idea behind it is that bees use pollen to make honey. And when you have the allergen in the substance and you put it into your body over time slowly gets adjusted to it. And that part is true. That's called like immunotherapy. You can get allergy shots, and it's like your body being injected with it, so you don't have severe symptoms all the time. But the reason it's not true with bees is because usually the allergy that you have is from like weeds and trees and grasses, not from flowers, and bees use flowers to create pollinate. And when the bees are digesting it, the pollen protein it breaks down, so it's no longer as concentrated to give you symptoms. So even if it was flowers that you had a problem with, both the bee digestion and your body digestion break it down. And it's not a high enough concentration to give you allergy relief. So honey is not the answer. Right there you go. That's 14, have these key pages. Between your body and between other people, so all around.
So you're talking about the bacteria that causes the cash, right? Right? I don't think that is, I'm sorry, but I think bacteria. Let's say.
All right, yes, got that as well. So, yeah, I learned this very interesting. So, yeah, it's the bacteria that causes the cavity. And there are specific bacteria causing cavity. I'll play around. And there are specific cavity causing bacteria. So when you share something with another person and there is that transfer from their mouth to your mouth, whether direct or through another object like food, that bacteria can get into your mouth and cause cavities as well. Yeah, children and babies particularly vulnerable. I believe that's because their immune system isn't as strong. Also, if you are more in control of your oral hygiene, might have better oral hygiene as an adult versus as a child. So that might play a role into. Very interesting. I learned this one like 2 months ago from a dentist. I'm very surprised. 15. It's placing a bar of soap, and that's really the Brussels legs.
My grandma
very symptom.
What scent is it?
Lavender.
Years ago.
Right.
That's the thing. But lots of true animals this mix. So yeah, my grandpa is a big claim that this one is true of health, but it's false.
Oh.
So the thought process is that bars of soap have magnesium, and magnesium as a substance calms your muscles in your body. And when ingested orally, magnesium does have a calming effect on your muscles. It can relieve leg cramps or soreness. It can help with restless leg syndrome symptoms. Oftentimes, it also needs iron supplements. So because of that, people think that if you have like a bar of soap or even Epsom salts is a big one, that your body can absorb magnesium through your skin, and then that goes to your muscles somehow, and that is what, relieves the symptoms. But that's not how it works. It needs to be injected orally. You brought a good question, what scent is it? There's also people that say like it needs to be lavender,
Yeah.
because lavender does, calm, or it can calm people. But yeah, no scientific evidence to prove this. I guess this is even shown on like the Dr. Oz show as something they should do. So,
So you can like get a lotion with magnesium in it or something and put it on your aching muscle.
There's magnesium bars that I've heard actually work.
Yeah, but you're saying it doesn't absorb through the skin, you need to ingest it, it's better as a supplement.
there is no scientific evidence to prove that topically putting it on an area of the body will.
Let's see.
work. Yeah, they can see what that, if you're like, this is gonna help. Maybe it will.
Right.
But from the scientific standpoint, there is evidence to show it has to be orally taken. Drinking cranberry juice is an effective treatment for urinary tract infections. Lots of truths.
Right.
Maybe. Okay, stop now.
Oh my God.
It is gross. But the word treatments will be, and I know like an antibiotic.
Sugar.
That helps.
So, this is one of those where I got really finicky with the words, and the word to maybe give them a little like leg in your head is treatment. That is, there's a mix. Some people say it's for treating, some people say it's for preventing. So there's no evidence to show it's helpful for treating, but there is some evidence to show it might be helpful for preventing. And scientists don't know why, and it's not enough for scientists to say like, do that to prevent urinary tract infections. Unless you enjoy cranberry juice and maybe you tend to have a lot of urinary tract infections. I don't know, not that. But what they think the theories are that the acid in the juice prevents bacteria growth, or that it might prevent bacteria from sticking to like the urethral walls, or even that the cranberry like changes the bacteria, like makeup and the proteins in it. They don't know. This is just speculations, but.
And other juices with acid do not, so it's unique to the cranberry.
No idea. So I haven't heard of any other.
I haven't either, that's why I was asking, like, is there this crazy uniqueness about the cranberry that somehow it might have all of these things, but
Yeah.
no other
Like
things
with
with
the
acid in it have them.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
it raises a lot of questions, but it's not a treatment, maybe it's a prevention. 17, the majority of serotonin is produced in the gut. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter, known as like the happy one. Being intrudes. It's true. Yes, serotonin is a neurotransmitter, meaning it's a chemical in your body that tells the body how to act. It's known as like the happy one, because it helps put your body in that rest and digest state. So serotonin is, oftentimes linked to mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. Because if you aren't producing enough serotonin, then your nervous system isn't being told it's okay to rest and digest. And you know, you're in that freak out state all the time. So, yeah, there's lots of research going into like gut health, which is very cool. And when it says gut, usually they mean like your intestinal tract, so like large and small intestine. And because it says neuro, meaning like brain, the thought is often that it's all happening in your brain, but it's mostly happening in your gut. So, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, especially because if you think like how many common sayings there are, like we've got a gut feeling about this, or like you're nervous, you have like gut, you know, tummy's upset. And so this, you know, might be why, because the serotonin, that happy drug, is mostly coming from here. And the diet and food and things that you consume play a role in how much of it is being produced, which is why food strongly impacts everything. Next. 18, soy foods help lower the risk of breast cancer. False or true? True, false? So this is definitely the thing that I have heard a lot, is that soy is bad for you and that it causes cancer. The reasoning or the thought behind this is because soy contains isoflavonoids, that's my pronunciation, if you have the correct one, let me know. And that is plant estrogen. And too much estrogen in the body can cause or lead to cancers. But when you have plant estrogen, it doesn't cause your body to produce more estrogen itself. And, you know, there was also claims that like soy foods will cause like breast cancer more in men, or even like cause men to have less testosterone being produced. And none of that is true. It's just incorrectly understanding how plant estrogen does not affect the body. And yeah, they've actually found that women who eat a moderate amount of soy, 1 to 2 servings a day, have a decreased risk of breast cancer. Don't know why. Could be because it's good for you. It's got fibers. It's got the plant estrogen, which is good for you. A lot of people also, I educated guess here. A lot of people consume soy as a substitute for different meat products or other types of dairy that, because of how things are in the US, don't always have it have the healthiest components to it, like red meat, things like that.
The Blue Zone book is really interesting in the area in Japan that have one of the highest rates of longevity. They eat the highest amounts of soy, unprocessed soy. They have some of the longest lifespans. Cool. Yeah. Well, interesting. So you want to avoid the highly processed soy, but eat like tofu, soy milk, soy beans, and
Muscles grow while you are using that. Keep them down over here. Thumbs down. Yeah, muscles grow during rest. So the assumption is that, you know, if you're doing some bicep curls, your biceps will get bigger while you're doing it. But what happens and how muscles grow or get stronger is because when you put them under stress, whether that, you know, maybe the example of doing a bicep curl, you're causing micro tears in the muscle. And once the micro tears happen, then your body's like, we gotta fix this. So, you know, blood cells and all of that rush over, cause inflammation, and that causes those fibers to grow back stronger and bigger. That's how muscles grow. So that's why rest is so important. Last one, sunburn only occurs during direct exposure to sun rays. Lots of false. Yeah, sunscreen has been like a big thing lately, at least. From what I've exposed to. Yeah, so it's false. You can get sunburned through any direct or indirect sun exposure. Through your car window, through regular window, it can reflect on the snow, all of that. I have heard that you can get more sunburnt on cloudy days. So I tried to look that up. That's what the second kind of paragraph here is. And currently what scientists are saying is when it's like a fully cloudy day, the clouds are blocking a good chunk of the UV rays. But when it's a partly cloudy day, that's when you do actually have like a 25% increase of being exposed to the rays, and the damage can happen 40% more likely than just a regular sunny day. We don't fully know why yet. The theories are because of like how the sun rays are reflecting off of the clouds, the ground, all of that. But yeah, so there is some truth to the statement that like a cloudy day might actually get more sunburned. All right, so this second half, sadly, eating local honey does not lower allergy symptoms. Our soap in your bed will not relieve restless leg syndrome or muscle cramps. Cranberry juice does not help UTIs. Muscles grow while you are resting them, not using them. You can get sunburned through any sun exposure. Eating carrots can improve eyesight at night. Most people have lactose malabsorption. Caffeine can be contagious. Majority of serotonin is produced in the gut, and the soy foods help lower risk of breast cancer. Any thoughts on this last one? The kissing one was super gross. The kissing, okay.
Not that, but let's just think, you think of serotonin, brain, go, brain, that was messed up. It's just like,
Yeah.
moving down, like.
Yeah.
That part, yeah.
Anyone else?
I mean, I think the soy one for me, just because I feel like out of all these, I've heard a lot about that, and so I was under the impression that like most women don't need more soy and much, and you hear about the negative stuff. So it's a good reminder. And also like Leah said, like the animal, or what did you said, the more processed soy?
Yeah, you want
Like
to
soy burgers, different than tofu and
Yes.
edamame.
Yeah.
And soy milk,
Yeah.
turned out that's good.
well, as long as it's sugar.
In general, anything that's processed is bad for you,
More-
like worse for you than
Exactly.
not.
I was curious about, you mentioned sunscreen, and I've heard some different controversies about wearing sunscreen, especially like the wearing it daily, like especially somewhere like Minnesota where, for most of the winter, unless you're outside in the snow and it's, you're gonna get the sun.
Yeah.
But that they say you should avoid doing that. Because of that, those that are in actual sunscreen, and like you should never wear sunscreen when you don't need it. Is that just kind of what you have heard or what?
No.
No.
So I have heard that, especially in areas like Minnesota, people worry that when you are wearing sunscreen all the time, that will prevent your body from absorbing vitamin D.
Yeah.
As strongly if you weren't wearing sunscreen. I have heard from dermatologists that you should be wearing sunscreen every day. But I've also heard that as like a belief thing. So I don't know if the perspective is the like science thing or like wear sunscreen every day to prevent, you know, sun damage to your face so you look good in 12 years. So I don't know which is real, that's just what I have heard. Yeah, it is, when you think about all the chemicals and stuff that go into it, and there's a lot of debate over mineral sunscreen versus like chemical sunscreen.
A few years ago, they banned people going out to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and wearing sunscreen. Because the chemicals in the sunscreen were destroying the reef.
Yeah,
Yep.
sunscreen chemicals are bad for the environment.
So what does it do to you?
Exactly, so that's
Yeah.
what we're saying.
This is on a slight side note, so.
Can I just say real quick, I'm curious though, like, are all sunscreens created equally? Because I know when I'm at the right, like, that's what I'm thinking, is when I'm at the dermatologist, they're always trying to sell a really expensive, good for you ones. So I'm hoping that, like, when you say chemicals and sunscreen, it's more like the ones you find at Target, maybe?
I don't actually know, that
I
is
don't know,
one
does anyone know that?
There's an outside magazine, article about this a few years ago, and they like go through that, I don't know which.
I've heard like Neutrogena, I've heard very mixed things too.
The more mineral, I think.
Yeah, a lot of skin things have a lot of debate over like how good it is for you based on like how long the ingredient list is. And as a person who doesn't understand chemistry, like, I don't know what those ingredients mean, but I trust it. But I also take from my stance of like, well, I don't want to put a bunch of things on my body and my skin that's not gonna serve in the long term. The choice to be citizen. Place where there's all sorts of different information and things.
This was just back to the vitamin D concern thing. How much? We're very sick. I'm just gonna put this into the room out there. But like, I'm thinking about those little, okay, so like, remember month, and you have to have those little vitamin D lamps, or else for a good chunk of the years, it'll be very, very sad. But those things are always about like, it's about the light getting to your eyes. And so, does vitamin D not? The skin part not as important, the skin important, because the little lamps for your eyes. And not your skin.
And purchased those for a lot of staff a few years ago.
It's
Right?
fantastic. Yeah, great, I love it, but.
I think it also has to do with like regulating your circadian rhythm, like if you have light going in your eyes, it like helps regulate like melatonin, which like is really high in the morning and it'll make you tired, which is why like drinking caffeine right when you wake up stops the reabsorption of adenosine, so like you'll crash later in the day if you drink coffee like right when you wake up. So like getting light in your eyes and signals to your body, like it's daytime, it's time to be happy, where like Minnesota, the sun doesn't rise like 9 AM, like goes away at like 4 PM, so your body like has no idea what's going on throughout the day.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
So, I guess my last little blurb here is, I have obviously did a lot of research on all this, and everything that I found, I checked multiple sources, I tried to make sure everything came from like an actual doctor or like PhD, and actual research studies. So, and obviously a lot of these we were like, what, like, how is that not true, or how is that false? So, you know, try to get good info, double check things. Thank you for listening. And I would love to do health coaching with you if you haven't signed up yet. My email is there.
Thank you.
Almost